Let's see then.
覚えているかキンブリー、初めて会った時のことを。あの時とは逆だな。
私を見下ろすな。
Huh. Don't you look down on me.
どきなさい。
Oh. Oh.
やめろ、グレンの錬金術師。
迫真の演技だったな。
Ah, there it
演技
is.
なんかじゃねえよ。こんな三文芝居を打たなきゃならなかった自分の不甲斐なさにマジで腹ばたかにえぐり返る。
Yes, okay.
なんで父さんと母さんを殺したの？
俺がロックベルという医者夫婦を殺したのは事実だ。この手で。娘よ、お前には俺を裁く資格がある。
Love that frame, him slowly letting go. Oh, yeah. Just like her parents.
腕、このままだと出血死しちゃう。
ウィンリー、
分かってる。父さんと母さんも多分こうしただろうから。父さんと母さんが生かした命だもの。何か意味があるんだと思う。
俺を許すというのか。
勘違いしないで。理不尽を許してはいないのよ。
See how he kind of jumps to that conclusion? It's there, it's in his mind.
大丈夫。泣かないよ。次に泣くときは嬉し泣きだって約束したから。
She did the same in the jail cell. I'm not gonna cry. Oh.
マイルズと言ったか。一つ聞いていいか。なんだ。俺のことを同族と言った。
Ooh, yeah, oh yeah. This has potential.
祖父の代までイシバール人だった。こんな相方はしたくなかったな。赤い目の
Red-eyed
同胞。
brother.
なぜアメストリス国軍に加担する。この国の内側からイシバール人に対する人々の意識を変えるためだ。この身はアメストリス国軍に投じられたイシバールの一石。小さな波紋がやがて大きな波となる時が来るかもしれない。
Yes, Miles, yes.
そしてそのことに気づかせてくれたのは皮肉なことに生粋のアメストリス人だった。
Yeah, yeah.
俺はあの内乱で生まれた憎しみという名の海だ。貴様のような奴がいてくれてよかった。
Oh, look at this. So,
貴様にどんな事情があるにせよ見逃すわけにはいかない。
but you do.
しかるべき裁きを受けろ。待ってくれ。
Aha.
誰だ。
There you go.
マルコさん。
その男を連れて行かないでくれ。
これはまずいですね、キンブリーさん。
雲が早い。
Oh my god, it's that same voice again.
歩いてき
Zeke
ますよ。
and Scar's brother.
研究所の解読。
ア
Ah.
メストリスの錬金術と真の練炭術との融合を試みた画期的な研究なんです。
しかし肝心なところが古代イシバール語で書か
And
れ
you
て
get the
俺が
monk.
読めるのはスカーしかいない。だから
練炭術の娘だな。
The
お
alchemist
前を
girl.
砦に連れてくるよう命令を受けている。
She's so cute.
安心しろ。手厚く迎えろとのことだ。いっそみんなまとめてブリッグズ砦にかくまうのがいいかもしれんな。
ちょっと待てよ、なんだよそれ。こいつも連れて食ってるかよ。
研究所の解読に必要なんだろ。
こんな奴の力を借りるなんて。とっととキンブリーに引き渡して。
Hold on, hold on.
そしてこの国の成り立ち、アームストロング少将から聞いているぞ。アメストリス全土を巻き込んで何かが起ころうとしている。研究所の解読は何にも増して重要なのでは
Think
ない
it
か。
through.
ロックベルのお嬢さんが人質にされていることは聞いている。今ならキンブリーに泥をかぶせて彼女をかくまうことができる。
Ah. There's a lot of things at play here. But
スカーよ、我々に協力するなら裁きは後に伸ばそう。
people from Central also came over though to Briggs.
他に選択の余地はないのだろう。協力を約束する。偽りないか。イシュバールの血にかけて赤い目の同胞よ。 そういえばこいつらのことを
Yeah,
忘れ
same.
ていたな。始末しろ。
おい
ちょっと待ってよ。何も殺す
ちょっと待って。
生かしておいて得がない。
俺たちに情けをかけるってか。余計なお世話だ。何も知らんアマちゃんが。どうせこんな体じゃ先は見えてる。殺すんなら殺せ。
家族とか大切な人はいないの？
いるさ。だがこの体になった時我々は死んだことにされた。以来会ってない。
会いたいとは思わない。
会いたくてもしょうがないだろ。このなりじゃ。
じゃあもう元の体に戻りたいとは思わないんだ。
Right.
その体で満足しちゃってるん
He
だ
can
ね。
relate.
なわけあるか。戻りたいに決まってんだろうが。
どうせとかしょうがないとか枯れたこと言わないでよ。元の体に戻れる可能性を探りもしないでさ。
Let's go, Al. Let's go.
貴様よ俺たちの何がわかる。戻れる可能性なんか。
僕は戻るよ。この先何年かかろうと
That
諦
should
め
give
た
them
りは
hope.
しない。
ここ鉱山の町だろ。地下坑道行けばいいんじゃない
Yes, Yoki. Clutch.
なんだよ。いや、こんだけでかい鉱山なら山一つ越えたところまで坑道がつながっていると思う。それだ。元炭鉱経営者をなめるなよ。
なんとかなりますよ。
自慢じゃないか。口八丁手八丁なら。
いや、猜疑心の強い
Yeah.
キンブリーのことだ。半
Enter
端なこと
Scar.
をすれば余計に怪しまれる。
私がスカーに連れ去られるっていうのはどうかな。
Fullmetal
Oh, look at
Alchemist.
命握られてるのよ。それならこっちも命がけで逃げなきゃ逃げきれないよ。でもスカーと一緒なんて。
お前が命かける必要はない。
そうやっていつもあんたたちだけで全部抱え込まないでよ。
吹雪が迫ってき
The
て、
storm that is Kimberly as
ここから
well.
一歩も出られなくなるぞ。
俺たちも連れて行ってくれ。
Okay.
キンブリー様は仕事のできない部下に容赦がない。どの道殺される。それに俺たちも諦めたくない。
君たちがもし私たちの邪魔をしたらこの国は滅ぶかもしれんのだよ。君たちの大切な人も含めてね。
ちょっと待て。なんだそれは。中央軍ではそんな話聞かされてない。詳しく教えてくれ。どういうことだ。
スカ、一芝居足ら
Oh,
分かっている。
he put on a good show.
ず。誓いは守れよ。イシバールの血にかけて。
エド、これ預かっといて。砦で待ってるから。
キンブリーてめえ、なんでちゃんとウィンリーを見てなかった。
Okay. All caught up now.
ブリックスから通信です。
Okay.
マイルズだ。
なんだと。
Huh.
じゃあ君はあのロックベル夫妻の娘さんなのか。
両親をご存知なん
Oh,
ですか？
yes.
イシュバールを経験した医者で彼らの名前を知らぬ者はいないよ。我が身を顧みずに医者の本分を貫いたと。
理不尽を許してはいないのよ。
耐えねばならんのだよ。国軍のしたことを許せというのですか。耐えると許すは違う。世の理不尽を許してはいかん。人として生き残らねばならん。だが耐えねばならん。憎しみの連鎖は断たねばならん。
Haha, the chain of hatred.
負の感情が集まれば世界は負の流れになってしまう。逆に正の感情を集めて世界を正の流れにすることもできる。そのために私は錬金術を学んでいるんだ。
He's going to be so crucial, right?
どうかしたのかい、メイちゃん。
私も国の一族が待っているのにいつ帰れるかと思うと、生きている人々を材料にする賢者の石、そんなものを求めるわけには参りません。
But
石はなくても作り方を知れば皇帝陛下は躊躇なくそれを試すでしょう。大勢の人々を犠牲にして。
砦が安全じゃなくなった。
アームストロング少将が戦闘
Oh,
に呼び出しを食らっ
wow.
た。 砦にも中央軍が大勢入ってきている。
素人が吹雪をなめるんじゃない。あっという間に体力奪われ凍え死ぬぞ。
あるよ方法。疲れを知らない
That's right.
凍え死にもしない人間。
But still, you have to navigate through a storm. Oh, that looks
真っ
great.
白で何も見えない。
Whoa. Oh, wow.
なんだ今の。僕の肉体。なんで。
そもそも別々の肉体と魂を一緒にしようってのが無理なんだよ。
本来魂が入ってはならない体。拒絶反応。僕の肉体が魂を引っ張ってる。
Oh, man.
しっかりしろ。
Yeah,
しっ
yeah.
かりするんだ。
Ooh. Chills.
アルフォンス・エルリック、エドワード・エルリック、
Ah.
そしてバン・ホエンハイム、
And then there's
泉勝
Sensei.
の可能性あり。あと一人。
Okay, so that ending, Al having that experience, his body kind of giving him a heads up, right? Kind of giving him a reminder, kind of giving him that check, the reality check. Okay, listen, it's getting to that point now. And there appears to be this connection that is calling him or calling his soul towards his body. And also it appears that his current body, suit of armor, is in the process of, or at least in the beginning stages of rejecting that soul. And then of course, the infamous, the iconic Barry the Butcher makes a quick appearance through a bit of a flashback, bit of a thought in Al's mind. That's the thing I love so much. He has left such an impact, on that front, right? It was so crucial to give us a character, another one that was in a suit of armor. So then you can kind of apply all of those experiences and a lot of knowledge, essentially. And, a lot of the things Barry the Butcher has said or stated, it's been the truth. And yeah, it actually makes complete sense that this aspect of it, right, the body and the soul and the connection being lost is kind of being introduced at this point because, yeah, I'm getting there now. I'm getting there. Next episode is episode 40 out of 64. Right? So yeah, it's starting to feel like a ticking time bomb at this point that, the clock is on now. The timer is on now for Al. So that certainly adds an element of tension and high stakes at this point, right? That you are against the clock at this point. And, I found it interesting that even though, right before they're kind of really talking about or really presenting it as, oh, okay, it's going to be no problem for Al because he is a suit of armor after all. But you see here that he's huffing and puffing and he's struggling out there, almost as if it is a person in a suit of armor, like there is a human inside, right? So I found that interesting, right? Is that also a case of him feeling the effects of his body, right? That connection, maybe it is kind of getting through. Because other than that, I don't really understand the reasoning behind that. Him huffing and puffing, right? He shouldn't be huffing and puffing, right? That's the whole point of this. That was the whole point he was going out there in the first place, because it should be easy for him, other than the fact that you still have to navigate, of course. But in terms of your physical form, it's going to be the easiest for Al. But even so, it is a metal suit of armor, or steel, or I'm not sure the exact composition of it, but in that type of temperature, it's still going to affect it. But yeah, that really caught me off guard. And I think it did a great job of, but yeah, that moment, him kind of zoning out and almost kind of having this out of body experience, and then seeing his body. And of course the body itself looks, it doesn't look the same as last time. The hair is a bit longer. The body itself is getting even more malnourished. The nails, you see that it's calling Al, or it's calling the soul. Again, a lot of fantastic visual storytelling on display here. But then you have to look back to Ed and that setup about him and his stunted growth, perhaps because he is eating for the two of them, for two bodies, the nutrients for two bodies, right? But here, there's yet another indication that he is beginning to have bit of a growth spurt, right? Because there's a beautiful moment as he kind of goes dome to dome, head to head, or side to side with Winry, but you see that it appears that he's at the same height as her now, right? It looked like it, and I feel like it's been doing that for some time now. This subtle approach to kind of depicting some sort of growth, but then you also have to look at the potential link to Al's body, right? If in the next few episodes as well, maybe in the next 10 episodes time, I see even more evidence for, growth in Ed, then does that mean that, that connection to the body, it's slipping, slowly it's slipping. And the body itself is kind of getting to a state that it really needs to reunite with the soul as soon as possible. But also, another aspect to this is the new automail, right? If you go back to, I'm not even sure, maybe 20 episodes ago, who knows at this point, the one doctor there, this is around the time they kind of helped give birth, right? Or they took a part in that whole, incident. That doctor told them that, okay, it's possible that his growth is being affected by the automail. But now, just recently he did get an upgrade. It's much lighter. So it's possible that it is going to have an effect on his growth, right? They've set it up a long time ago. I mean, there's a lot of things that you can connect to episodes from some time ago at this point. Go back to episode 5. You see Al, he has a go at his brother for giving up, for surrendering his life to Scar in exchange for mercy for his brother. And Al was really quite annoyed, right? That his big brother could give up his life that easily, a life that is meant to be doing so many things, that has so many things left to do. And that, and giving up that life would be disappointing so many as well, including themselves. So you see that kind of comes back in this episode as well. Through that beautiful scene of Al and the two chimeras. I can't quite remember the names, but I thought that was a lovely moment, right? You see that a bit of decency and there is a change of heart. And the crazy thing is, even these characters, the chimeras, have a bit of a character arc over the span of these 2 episodes. At first, they're kind of introduced as just someone to fight against, but then here you see that there is so much more depth there. That they do have families out there, that, they're not evil just for the sake of being evil or anything. They are just following orders. And they're doing that because that's all they can do at this point. They've been pronounced dead. Their families think they're dead. And they have nothing else to go to, right? No home to go to. Though, of course, by the end of this, they changed their minds, right? They've been encouraged by Al and his resolute nature. Al really is the voice of optimism. He continues to be the voice of optimism. And then if you go back to Greed and his crew that he kind of rescued, right? These are chimeras that were being experimented on, people that were being experimented on, and he kind of gives them a new home, right? It's a bit of a similar situation here as well, right? So I do have sympathy for them. Even though, in the last episode, I was just kind of like, okay, get rid of them. Right? Just, they didn't seem like they're going to have any more to do with the story. But no, look at this. An episode later, I have sympathy for them. I'm kind of hoping they get to reunite with their families. And, the thing I noticed is the other two, it was quite lovely, actually, to see those two care about the other two that are missing now, right? I'm guessing the other two are also Chimera. But they didn't really show me their chimera forms. But you see that they are concerned. Those two are the only ones concerned for the safety of these other two. Again, I know it's a little bit confusing because I'm not saying their names because I can't remember the names. But I think you'll get the gist of it, right? So I thought that was a really lovely moment as well. It is a bit of a brotherhood for them as well. That they've gone through the same, terrible experiences. Being experimented on. And becoming chimera, because that's all there is left to do for them. And again, it's it's a rock and a hard place because they know Kimberly is going to off them. He's going to eliminate them immediately the moment, they report that, they got beat, that they were not effective. So yeah, it's great to have a few more of these characters kind of join the party at this point. They'll be assets. I think they are going to prove to be quite useful in the upcoming episodes. I'm sure of it. I was about to say this in the beginning of the discussion, but it's coming back to me now. I feel that a lot of the decisions made there on that day are going to be so crucial to perhaps even the end game of the series. Be it Winry kind of, making the choice to have mercy on Scar. She's not forgiving him, but mercy is something else entirely, isn't it? There's a really interesting moment there, isn't it? Because Scar sees that this young girl is actually able to kind of comprehend and understand the lesson that his master was trying to teach him, right? And she wasn't even told any of this. Or she wasn't, kind of forced into that direction, or she wasn't really kind of guided towards that direction. She was able to kind of do that herself, right? That, she didn't forgive him, but she does abide, right? That there is mercy there, that she is choosing to save his life at that point as well, right? Because she does make a call there, a judgment call. She knows if she doesn't bandage him up, the loss of blood could be lethal. So I think that is playing a massive part here in Scar's redemption arc, or the next phase of it at least. I've been talking about this potential redemption arc for a long time at this point, but here in this episode, by the end of it, it really feels like it's finally kind of in full motion at this point because of his experiences, be it through her, be it through Miles. I mean, yes, Miles's approach is a bit idealistic, isn't it? And it's not an easy thing, that's for sure. But he sticks to it nonetheless, right? Even if realistically it's not really going to have much of an effect, the fact that he is taking that approach and that he is able to kind of put aside that hatred, right? Kind of do his part in trying to end that cycle of hatred, much like Winry does as well in this episode. You see that it inspires Scar, in that he is ashamed of himself in that moment, seeing these two individuals handle it in a totally different manner or approach it from a totally different angle. But I believe in Scar. But like I was saying a few moments ago, I think these level-headed decisions and choices that are being made there on that day are going to play a crucial role in the trajectory of this. Because now you have someone like Scar potentially on your side, right? And there's also this lovely moment because she believes that there must be a meaning to this. They saved his life all that time ago, and now I'm going to do the same, right? I'm going to, make sure that their legacy continues, right? And I do believe that Scar is going to end up playing some type of crucial role at some point in the endgame of this series. I really believe it, and I'm hoping for it as well. I just feel like there is going to be something there for Scar, and I think it's going to come back to this episode. I mean, this episode is such a fantastic approach, isn't it? A lot of time is allocated to character drama, introspection, some reflection, compassion, and understanding. And, I just thought it did a fantastic job of kind of reiterating a lot of the central themes of this story, of this anime, through a collection of these characters. Again, it continues to be so exciting, the different groups of characters coming together, the different character types coming together. It's one of the best parts of this anime. It really is. And the thing is, one of the most impressive things is you have someone like Miles here who is making substantial and critical choices and decisions that kind of affect the grand story, right? The end game of the story, essentially. At a moment's notice, once he is kind of given new information, right? Once he has been presented with this information that, they need Scar. They kind of need Scar because he's the only one who is able to translate this crucial research that his late brother left behind, who I see once again. And, through his flashback moment, it's, it's this concept of the flow of positivity, rather than a flow of negativity. But I love that this character, Miles, who's introduced only a few episodes ago, is given such agency in the grand scheme of things, because he's able to pivot and kind of reassess the situation and kind of take a totally different approach on the fly, right? So I love that these characters, these supporting cast members, are given such agency. Ultimately, I think every single one of these characters is doing their part, or is going to be doing their part as well, in helping this country, in protecting this country. And it's starting to build towards that end game element of this. And the thing is, Ed is seeing red at that point. Miles had to kind of talk him out of it and talk some sense into him at that point, because Ed is ready to just throw Scar to Kimberly, let him be judged, let him be killed. But then of course, step by step, Miles reminds him, okay, they're saying this man is needed. And I have heard from Olivier as well that, okay, something nefarious is at play now. So he is kind of taking it into his own hands as well. And like I mentioned, I love that he can have that type of agency. And you believe it. It didn't feel cheap, just because he was introduced a few episodes ago. It doesn't feel that it was cheap or anything, that he's making these calls, these substantial calls. You buy it. And that's just down to how fantastic his introduction has been as a character. And how much development he's been given over the span of these few episodes. Much like Olivier as well, who finds herself summoned to Central. So, at this point, Briggs has been compromised. So, that crest of blood that Kimberly alluded to, it's looming closer and closer, isn't it? So it really is feeling like that Briggs is going to have its moment, right? Because it is the last location left on that map that they drew up in the tunnel underneath. But, on that front, let's kind of shift to the ending, the father's ending there. There's a confirmation that they only need 5, right? 5 points of that transmutation circle. Now, they're confirming 4 of them. Hohenheim is the new addition here, but it's not the most shocking thing to hear his name. Again, this interesting character, isn't he? Given his background. But yeah, a new name is added. So you have 3 of them that are essentially confirmed. All 3 of them are family. But then, Azumi Sensei, they're saying that's a possibility, but I guess they kind of have to confirm still that she did perform human transmutation, and she did stand in front of the truth and the gate, and she was able to return. So that's 4 of them essentially. And the 5th one, they've really been hinting at for some time now, and Mustang, right? You go all the way back to the first few episodes in Lior. Lust mentioned that he's an important candidate. Now, again, the one thing that is still up in the air and a bit of a mystery is how exactly is he going to become a candidate, an important sacrifice from an important candidate. How exactly is he meant to, kind of shift to that tag, I guess? Because for that to happen, he needs to perform human transmutation, or he needs to face the truth or be at the gate of truth, right? Somehow. So that remains to be one of the most fascinating mysteries and questions of this, right? Because they keep making him this prime candidate for an important sacrifice. So yeah. So, it'll be interesting to see Olivier in Central. Maybe she'll come across Mustang. Maybe she'll come across Hawkeye. Surely she'll come across Hawkeye, right? If she is going to be facing King Bradley, because Hawkeye is going to be there. But yeah, exciting setup here for sure. And I've mentioned the seat, the throne that Father sits on essentially, and that steampunk design of it. These pipes, these industrial looking pipes, massive, just kind of branching out. I think I finally put it together just now after seeing it again. And that whole concept of the alchemy coming through the ground. I think he is attached to that, right? He's attached to that chair, of course, or his aura or his presence. Again, I think at this point, I certainly believe he is the source of the alchemy of that country. I feel like that chair and those connections, those cables and all that, I think that's actually like the roots. Those are the roots of the country, and it's kind of going into the land. And I think that's how alchemy is possible in that country. And again, they showed us that he can switch it off as well at a moment's notice if need be. But also, I simply have to go back to Winry. It was such a fantastic showing, right? I love that a few episodes ago she's kind of being used as a damsel in distress. This thing to hold over the brothers, to keep them in line, this hostage situation. But I love how, by the end of it, she didn't need any saving, right? She's the one doing all the stuff. She's the one who got herself out of all of this. Quick thinking back at Briggs to get herself out of there and inside that car alongside the Elrics, right? And now here, she's the one who puts up that plan, right? Of being kidnapped and, ultimately kind of freeing herself from this hostage situation. That the homunculi, King Bradley, and then through them, Kimberly had her in. So I just love this episode for her. It really was a fantastic one. And, another great moment as she calls them out again. She tells them, you have to let others help you, right? You don't have to take everything on your own shoulders. You don't. And that's been a bit of a running theme, right? I've talked about this a few times at this point. And then, of course, there's that promise of sorts, right? It's kind of similar to Mustang and Ed, the 520 cents promise. I'm just saying it like that because that's how it was written. But yeah, the earrings, it felt like a similar situation. She makes a choice, a deliberate choice to not pocket it herself, but give it to Ed. I'll see you at the fort. I felt like it was a bit of a promise, and it was a bit of a reminder to Ed as well. Also, there's hints of a potential death flag as well in that. I'll see you at the fort. Here's my earrings. I certainly hope not. But you have to kind of explore all possibilities sometimes. There is a hint of it there. But the thing I really love about Al in this character arc is that, he is able to care. He can empathize with others. It's not just about getting his body back. You get a distinct feeling that he wants to help others as well, others in similar situations. He can see it, right? He can understand. He can empathize. And you see that for a lot of people, he can be a beacon as well, right? So I'm just really quite proud of Al in this episode. I really am. And, in terms of the research notes, it's starting to feel like Dr. Marco is putting a lot of faith in these notes, right? Anytime he'll get a question, he'll be like, I don't know, man. Let's see. It's possible. Let's go and, figure this out. He'll get a question from the Chimera guys. Do you think it's possible? Have you found anything in there about, potentially switching bodies or, kind of getting your bodies back? I mean, they are able to transform back into human form, but I think the concept of them not being able to go back to their families is because they are chimeras. At the end of the day, it changes them as people, right? So I think they're looking for a complete switch. So they'll ask Dr. Marco about that, and then you'll have May, who has a bit of a character moment as well here. I do feel bad for her, for young May, because she's also in a tricky situation at this point. A rock and a hard place. Now that she knows the buildup of a Philosopher's Stone, of course she's going to struggle with the concept of that. And she knows, that the Emperor back in Jing, he'll have no problems kind of utilizing this method, right? Sacrificing countless lives for this stone. So yeah, she's in a tough position. So I'm happy that she's around people like Dr. Marco and also some of these other characters that can help her through this. It's just so much fun to have these characters together to bounce off of each other, right? That's the thing to love about ensemble casts, especially one that is this strong. But yeah, I think that might do it for this one, folks. I'm just really happy that there's concrete signs here now that Scar is finally at that point of his metamorphosis, right? That he's not going to allow himself to live by his old beliefs anymore, right? That his old self has died, I think, at this point. But I think there's also a case to be made that, Scar wasn't completely wrong for some of the things he's done, right? Yes, ultimately, he has a lot of regrets about that one specific encounter and situation, that he did unfortunately kill her parents, the Rockbells, who are so respected. You see that Dr. Marco does bring it up, and I was hoping maybe there is some sort of connection there. And again, some really effective framing there as you see Scar right behind her as she's got a big smile on her face. So, that really eats at him, doesn't it? That these are the type of people that he accidentally ended up killing. But again, he doesn't make that excuse, does he? But I'm just saying, I don't think it's as simple as just Scar being completely wrong in the things he's done, right? Given the things that happened to his home, to his family, to his people, right? I mean, at the end of the day, he was targeting alchemists, state alchemists, right? So I don't know. I'm not going to say that he's completely in the wrong, but listen, I'm also not saying that that he hasn't done some terrible things as well. But yeah, that does it for this one, folks. If you enjoyed that, consider dropping a like, consider dropping some comments, give me your thoughts. If you are interested in early access or perhaps even full length, timer-based full length, consider checking out the Patreon page. The links are in the description and the pinned comment. Right then, thank you so much for joining me, folks. And thank you for your time, because time is precious. It really is. And I hope to see you again soon for episode 40. That sounds so damn good to me. But until then, take it easy.